the tracking came out. So tracking is research that kind of predicts how a film is performing in its marketing more than anything. The film hasn't opened yet, but there's questionnaires that goes out to the consumer. It's a survey, and you get a pretty good indication, and it's usually pretty accurate. It's really the only scientific apparatus we have in marketing that gives us some kind of indication of if our message is working. So I cut a teaser for The Perfect Storm that just blew the socks off of everybody. I was so proud of it. I actually went to the theater to watch it play in I live in Manhattan Beach, California, and I went, a mile from here to the ArcLight Theater in Manhattan Beach to just sit in the back of the theater and watch this teaser trailer play, which was full of action, and the sound was incredible. And we Nick, you would love this. We didn't tell too much at all. We only gave an indication of the excitement and the adventure. And I came out of that theater. I went to the lobby and I jumped up into the air and screamed. I was so happy that we had a hit. I knew we had a hit because I could see the reaction it got in my little theater, and I figured this is happening around the country. And man, I can't wait for this movie to open. So tracking usually starts 3 weeks before you open, and the tracking results came out, and guess what? The Patriot was kicking our asses.
Yeah.
We were just not appealing for some reason. Why? Tracking doesn't tell you that. But it was apparent that Mel Gibson's star power was working, and our message, based on tracking, wasn't working. So the next 3 weeks, I didn't go home. And that was stressful. And you're trying everything known to mankind to try to figure out a message for all demographics, because don't forget, these are two incredibly expensive films.
So they want to be 4-quadrant films, basically.
Absolutely. When you have a movie that costs $100 million, and this was 2000, so this would have been probably twice that today.
Right. Or more.
You spend a lot of money to make a movie. You have to make a lot of money to make it back, to make a profit. So here you have these two massive studios. The press is all over that. Articles in the paper. This hardly ever happens. Nobody talks about marketing and things like that in the press. Well, they did about this one. And it just created incredible pressure on both studios, not just me, of course. Sony was feeling it, but they had good tracking. So they were feeling very confident, and we weren't. And, the director, Wolfgang Peterson, hired a producer's rep to be his watchdog to the Warner Brothers marketing department. So he was there to criticize what we were doing and to watch us and to demand that we leave no stone unturned. And by George, that's what happened. We spent an enormous amount of money cutting television commercials up until the minute this movie opened. So my back went out. I couldn't get out of bed.
Wow.
I felt terrible and worn out and beat up. And the thing that really got me more than my back or anything else is I felt that I had earned a certain amount of trust from my studio and the filmmakers that was now gone. I had had enough success in my job that I felt like, hey, come on, have a little faith here. We got a teaser that worked. I saw it with my own eyes. I've opened movies before. Come on, don't give up. But they, of course, nobody cares about me or my back, nor should they.
Maybe they should.
They've got careers riding on this. They've got tons of money. They got shareholders, So, much bigger issues at stake here. And long story short, my back, got better. I came back to work. I gave it the good old college try, and lo and behold, the movie opens and we kicked their ass. We doubled their box office.
Wow.
Tracking was incorrect.
Wow.
Tracking had it wrong. That's a great point.
And I felt good, but I felt things are changing in marketing in Hollywood. I feel it.
It's this blind faith in the big data, big analytics.
Absolutely.
And your sense that the data has to be more correct than your artistic, creative intuition the data just doesn't understand human beings. And there are domains where data is perfectly suited. You know, we work with data all the time just here on the show, but like there's a part of it where it's like, yeah, I don't care what that says because I don't trust the source that it came from. I think the source is manipulated that's feeding that data. What's happening right in front of our eyes, right? Let's check the weather on our phone instead of step out on our porch. That's the idea. And it's like, no, just step out on the porch. What does it feel like to you?
No, and Chris,
You know?
this is killing me because what precedent did this set?
Yeah.
Because the question becomes, was the data wrong, or did the pressure that they put on the marketing team result in a success?
Result in a success.
And therefore, the precedent that gets set is put as much pressure as you can on the marketing team, and we can be successful.
Yeah. Don't let them lay back.
Yeah, that's not a good precedent.
Don't let them see their family.
Exactly, especially if the truth of the matter was that the tracking isn't correct. So when you mentioned the political polling methodology, what you have to know is that when political polls are done, they poll such a small percentage of the population with the suggestion that poll is statistically significant. So yes, their numbers came back a certain way, but it was such a small percentage of the population, they probably did not poll the correct percentage, or they didn't have the appropriate demographic or geographic makeup to tell you the truth.
Yeah.
So anyway, but when you saw that change and that shift, was it away from data that they didn't believe was correct, or was it towards put the pressure on marketing?
Everybody believed it. Everybody believed the data completely, to the degree that, and I'm not 100% sure of this, but I had heard that Sony pulled back on their media buy in the last week before release because they felt we got it.
Confidence.
Yeah, the tracking.
Why spend when we can just take that $5 and put it right back in our pocket, our wallet? Yep. And of course, Warner Brothers was doing exactly the opposite. We were spending like crazy. So why did this happen? Full disclosure, in the last week, we started to see an uptick in our numbers. And so we had a little momentum. And my theory is, and again, it's just a theory. I don't know this for a fact, but my theory is because we were a PG-13 movie and they were an R-rated film, I think that had a huge impact in the end. Because why? We had a larger audience to draw from. Obviously, an R-rated film is 17 and older, and that's it. We did a good job of selling the action. Yeah. Maybe people felt, I know what happened in the revolution. I really don't need to go to school. Yeah. Who knows what happened in the end, but it was a pretty significant difference in box office.